Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday morning start-sit stream here on the Going for Two Live Network. Take that, Dan. I can say a bunch of S's in a row. That's a reference to this morning's B-League's Pick'em show that he does multiple times a week. So lots of great content here on the Going for Two Live Network, and I am super excited to be joined this morning by my co-hosts, Jamie Perog, Topher Kurt. How are you both doing? I don't know who wants to go first, but we both talk at the same time so that everyone interrupts each other like I always do. Sorry.
This has been the best week of my life. Every single day so far this week, I turn on a podcast, and who do I hear? My boy, Roshan Johnson, buddy.
It's funny. We actually didn't talk about him on the FPC.
Everybody's talking about him.
But Brad did rank him as like RB30 this week. So like we probably should have addressed it. I guess. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jamie. Sorry to lay you down.
The funny part about it is when he first got drafted, he was number 30, right? So I got my jersey with Roshan on the back, number 30. He switched numbers to 23, so I obviously had to get another one.
And you got a home and away, so
yeah,
balance. If only it was a better team like the Texas.
Hey, if it was the Steelers and being a Browns fan, I would still buy his jersey.
Fair enough. Topher and I are clearly Packers fans, so I mean we don't love the Bears jersey, but it's not. They're not playing the Vikings today. So
I'm pretty sure he bid on it on eBay, and eBay gave him money for ordering it. So I'm not feeling too bad.
Good for you, Jamie. Way to get profit even more. But I guess the big question is, will this be
Yes.
Love?
Yeah.
Okay, Zach's here too. And Topher can finally claim victory after telling him to go with Rome Odunze last week, and sure enough, it worked. Now, we're not going to mention the fact that we all said to go with Jared Goff over Dak. No one will mention that. Oh. Okay, never mind. I suppose this is, unfortunately, we've talked about Roshan Johnson. Topher, do we also talk about our favorite player now? Malilis?
Jordan Love.
Oh, yeah. Kind of replacing Malilis. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it seems like that era is over. We're going to get confirmation if Love's playing probably in about half an hour. A little less than that.
Well, didn't Rappaport or Ari Myrov say that he would be starting yesterday? I'm scrolling through my tweets right now.
I've just seen questionable on Love everywhere I've looked. Up until
so
now.
Rappaport said Packers QB Jordan Love is expected to return against the lineup, and Rappaport just tweeted the 90 minutes before games. Jordan Love, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Keenan Allen are all active, and then Jair Alexander, CJ Mosley, and Mixon are all out.
Okay,
Alexander's out.
Well, so Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 1 this week. I'm gonna have to change it because I think I have Chase there right now.
Well, I have Love there.
Yeah.
Or not Love.
Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 1. Okay, there we go.
Yep. Easy.
Damn.
So there you go. Okay.
Chase has the Panthers though. Yeah. I did put in a poll. I was putting Chase at wide receiver. Okay, Jefferson, wide receiver 2. I'll stick to my principles.
Okay, so one of those two. Just start if you've got them. Start them.
Yeah, that's not like that's more of a rankings debate than a start-sit question.
Yeah.
But if you do have any start-sit questions, feel free to ask them here. Whether it's in the chat, we've got the Going for Two Live YouTube page, so be sure to subscribe there. Because as mentioned earlier, there's tons of great shows. Like almost every day of the week, Dan himself is putting out a show, a B-League Pick'em show. But we've got the big boss, Jeff Lambert, his flagship show for this network, the Armchair Fantasy Show. Also on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, Topher was on there last week.
I was.
You're fantastic, dude. Mm-hmm. I thought you did awesome.
Well, thank you.
And
just
Jamie,
make stuff up and hope for the best.
You're the only
reason you fit right in here. Jamie's on the fantasy cheat sheet, which there was no episode last week, which I'm sure he was super sad about since it was about to be an hour and a half of just Roshan Johnson talk.
Yeah,
that's probably why Mike canceled it. You can't escape that fate though, because I guarantee if there's a cheat sheet this week, there was going to be at least an hour of Roshan Johnson.
Yeah, most likely. Mike will be out though this week, so it'll just be us 3 guys.
Ooh. All right. I guess we'll see how that goes. Tuesday night at 9:30 Eastern, if I am correct. Hope I'm correct. Jamie can always correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, as Topher mentioned, Zach's here. Asking, hey fellas, PPR, Ramondre Stevenson or Cam Akers? Only Topher's opinion counts now. So go ahead. Your name, and now we can just sit back and relax.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that I'm going Akers here specifically because they're playing the Jaguars, and Josh Allen Hines, newly minted name, has not been the defensive threat that he was last year. They're going to get ahead, even though Tank Dell is out. Like, their defense isn't doing much in Jacksonville. And then you have the Patriots facing the 49ers. The 49ers are 1-2 right now, as are the Patriots, and the 49ers are going to do everything in their power to shut things down. And you saw last week, Ramondre, that they play the Jets. I want to say, who did Patriots play last week? Because Ramondre just got clobbered. Yep. They played
he
the
also
Jets.
left the game with an injury.
Yes.
So his fantasy total was from the fact that he just wasn't on the field. But
correct. He also lost a fumble.
That factors in, right? Because if he's not 100%, he's probably still not 100% this week.
But I mean, the team had a total of 78 rushing yards and on 15 carries, and Gibson had 5 of 29 of those. Ramondre 6 of 23, and then just little random things here and there. So I don't think that they're gonna. I think that they'll play from behind, and that'll make a difference. I'm going Akers.
I also think what something that happened last week was the Texans were trailing, and that was wondering, like, what if, we've seen Cam Akers not be a receiving back pretty much his whole career. Like, the Rams have always just got someone else to play pass catching downs, and I mean, he wasn't really in Minnesota long enough to last year to really know what his role was going to be. Like, was he going to play on third downs or not? I think he ended up playing 2 games for the Vikings. So this was a big test. No Joe Mixon, no Damian Pierce. You've got Dario Gumbawale there, and basically his best skill set is a pass catching back. That's where he, I don't want to say excels, but is more efficient than he is like as a runner relative to other running backs. So they had every excuse to not throw the ball to Cam Akers. Guess who caught CJ Stroud's only touchdown pass in that game is Cam Akers. So the Texans willing to use him as a receiving back. Also, I think, as we were talking full PPR, that could factor in. Now, I also don't know that we're expecting them to be trailing to the Jags like they were the Vikings, but that means it's a good game script for Akers to just get a ton of carries. He was really inefficient last week, but maybe that is, kind of worries me for today, Topher, for the Packers and how good this Vikings defense is. So
yeah,
I also, not that my opinion matters at all, because Zach asked for just Topher, but I would also go Akers. I've got him ranked ahead of Ramondre this week. How about you, Jamie?
I got him back to back at 26 and 27. Akers 1 spot higher just because it's better offense and more chance of scoring, right? Like, who's to say anyone's going to even get into the red zone?
And I've got Akers at RB 23. And I know as Topher, you love to do the consensus of different websites and rankings together. I don't know where
however, 79% of the pros say to start Stevenson, but you know how reliable they are.
About as reliable as we are.
Exactly.
So. There you go. Yeah. So I did not normally I look at wide receivers, so I don't have.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering was if you did every player. Okay, that's true. It is wide receiver. Okay, never mind then. But yeah, Akers, we're viewing him as a top 30 back this week. So questions with Ramondre, the matchup, as Topher pointed out. I guess we're all going with Cam Akers. So great question, Zach. Because I mean, I don't quite have them back to back like Jamie does, but they're within 5 spots of each other. So it's not so obvious. Certainly at the start of the year, you'd think this is super obvious, but I don't know. I guess my bet this year was I don't have any Ramondre because I have more Antonio Gibson, thinking Gibson would really eat into Ramondre's work. We saw it last week, but again, that was so much due to injury. I don't know if that's truly what's going to happen on a week-to-week basis if Ramondre ends up being healthy. Now, he also fumbled. So you get a finger injury and a fumble together. I think like the coach's decision went with the medical staff decision to just hold him out. So I think that ended up happening, which means there's a risk it could happen in the future, but it also feels like Ramondre is probably not going to have as bad a game as he just had. Like I was seeing some formats where he scored less than a point because of the fumble.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I was in a format like that.
because I got quite a few people just in different group chats asking about Ramondre, and a lot of it was, man, Ramondre screwed me so bad last week. I want to bench him for these other guys.
Yep.
Which is, I think, reasonable, but I also don't know if that exact situation is going to play out. But I also, again, we're all taking acres. So Albert's joining. Albert joins quite a lot of the Going for Two live streams. So appreciate Albert.
I love Albert. I see him in all the chats. Everywhere.
Yeah. Going for Albert, Jamie, Mr. Scampers. Those are, like, if you're on any fantasy football YouTube chat, you're likely going to see at least one of those three people in the chat. So thank you for gracing us with your presence, Albert, and giving us a chance here. Asking us, DJ Moore or Brandon Ayuk, full PPR. This is another one, just like the last question, where I'm pretty sure I've got two players ranked pretty closely. Yeah, back to back. So I can understand why you're struggling with this, because apparently so am I to rank them. Anyone have any clarity on this?
This one's tough. I do have who was it? Ayuk. Yeah, I got Ayuk way above him. I want to put him in my top 10. And I think Moore is like outside my top 20, like 21, 22.
Interesting.
The only thing that worries me is Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, that was my
I know he does shadow a lot, right? Like 80% of the time. But that other time, like, you can't get those mismatches, and he can take advantage of them. Just like who was it? The Seahawks guy.
Metcalf?
Yeah, Metcalf. I believe when Gonzalez was guarding him, he only allowed like 4 catches, 20-some yards. But when he was mismatched, that's when Metcalf went off. So Akers can do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at how many passing yards per game that each team is allowing, it's doesn't even help really, because the Rams have allowed 248.7 and New England has allowed 244.3. So they are very close. I think this is also a really good problem to have if you are struggling between DJ Moore and Brandon Ayuk. That's a struggle that you want to have, instead of having to like struggle between like Jaleel McLaughlin and Cordell Patterson. Like, you're in a really nice spot if this is a thing for you. I'm gonna go Brandon Ayuk. It's a close one, but I think Ayuk, especially because Debo and Kittle are going to be back on the field, which will open things up more. Debo might be on a snap count. We don't know that yet, but I think it opens things up for Ayuk.
Sorry, is Debo playing? Do we know that for sure?
He is expected to play. I just looked it up to make sure that I was not speaking out of my butt.
Here's the thing. After last week, and maybe this goes against, maybe this is a pro Ayuk argument. If you're looking at the 49ers last week, Gonzalez should shadow Juwan Jennings, because he looks like the more productive, ready receiver to go right now. I think you've taken that genie out of the bottle. I don't think he just goes back to the bench and does nothing. So I've actually got Jennings ranked higher, frankly, than both Ayuk and DJ Moore. But Ayuk's just, at this point, there's no excuse for him to be coming on so slow. So you expect at any given week he'll just suddenly start producing. But he hasn't had I guess technically in half PPR he was wide receiver 40 2 weeks ago against the Vikings with his 4 for 43 performance. That's wide receiver 40. That seems pretty bad. It was a bit of a down week. I guess the score has been down. But all to say, like, to me, like, all of us are still ranking Ayuk up here. Jamie is, I am. Like, I'm looking at the ECR. We're pretty close to where it is. I've got him at wide receiver 18, but he hasn't finished anywhere near that yet. So at a certain point, like, what more are we waiting for? Like, he should have already done it. Like, he should have had that big monster performance last week, not Juwan Jennings. So the fact that he's not still gives me concerns. And with those other guys returning, it opens up more for Ayuk, but it also means less targets. DJ Moore, I think, is clearly the number one receiver on the Bears. So I'm willing to. It's not like the Rams really have any shutdown corners that I'm.
Yeah.
I actually am going against you guys and saying DJ Moore.
I just started looking at the target share that they're getting and how many targets they're getting per game. And DJ Moore has 28 targets in 3 weeks, and Ayuk only has 20. And DJ Moore has done better every week than Ayuk. And we saw Caleb Williams actually do something last week. And again, against the Rams, they did beat the 49ers last week, but it is, as we've seen, it is any given Sunday. Last week, we watched the Carolina Panthers put on a Saints-like show. We saw the Saints not put on a Saints show, like any given Sunday. I'm changing my mind. I'm going DJ Moore.
And, I think the one thing to say is the disparity in targets is there, but quality of targets. Clearly, Ayuk's getting better quality passes than DJ Moore is. So, even if one guy is getting more targets, you can make up for it with better quality. And that's the one thing Ayuk will always get is not just like good downfield quality targets. Like that can lead to those spike weeks that just find the end zone, dude. That's really all he's missing. He's not scoring touchdowns. He has 0 so far this year. So, I don't know. Super tough rankings. I guess I'm curious, Jamie, why you have DJ Moore down in like outside the top 20. Because I know, like, I've got him at 17, and that still seems like that's below consensus. So I've been hearing people talk about him as a top 12 guy this week.
Well, Keenan Allen, he is active. You got Odunze coming on, and you got an awesome pass catching running back named Roschon Johnson. He's probably
going to lead the team in targets, catches, receiving yards, touchdowns. Yeah,
I could see him getting like I think I took the over on his. I think it was 3.5. I could see him getting 5-6 catches again. I just like Ayuk. He's ready for a breakout game. He has to.
All right.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is the week that he's gonna get it. That's my concern.
I guess the other concern is they're like 10-point favorites, so there's a chance that they get up so big that they just stop passing the ball. Which we know Shanahan loves to just run as much as he can whenever he can. So this is there might be every excuse possible to not throw the ball in this game.
Yes,
that is a bit of a concern. Definitely. Like again, I'm still struggling within my rankings. Like where to put Ayuk and Jennings now if Deebo's back. Like that's very, very complicated puzzle piece.
Yes,
I definitely understand, Albert, why you're struggling with that one.
With Deebo back though, Jennings, he's not gonna have a blow up game. He usually gets like 4 catches when Deebo's playing. So I can see him getting like anywhere between 6 to 10.
I would say the one thing is he's not usually coming off an 11-catch game, though, where he just completely went off. Like, again, like at a certain point, do the 49ers see that and say, okay, we have to make sure Jennings stays involved?
Yeah.
And maybe, because again, we don't know for sure Deebo's playing. And if it's still like this questionable coming into the game, it feels like, again, snap count potentially. Like I don't know. I'm probably not even ranking Deebo. Because like we don't know for sure that he's playing, so I don't want to get caught with a 0 in the rankings. But I would imagine if I were to rank him, he would be behind Ayuk and Jennings. So I think Jennings has one more week. I'd be willing to throw him out there.
That's fair.
Maybe I'm a complete idiot. That would be.
I mean, you might as well try it.
Yeah.
There's no problem. That's how you win fantasies, by taking some risks and hoping they pay off. You can't play it safe all the time.
For sure. Yeah, well, although Jeff is asking in this funny question if he should play it safe with Derek Carr or go with Jordan Love as his QB2. I guess my first question is, who is your QB1, Jeff? Because that will also do you have a really safe QB1 or kind of a more risky guy? Because that would also say risk reward in terms of like who's safe and who's not. Not gonna lie, I have Jordan Love is a really tough one for me to rank this week because we just we didn't know if he was playing up until 10 minutes ago, and B, what kind of shape his knee is still. So he's outside my top 20. So my initial inclination is if you can bench Jordan Love this week, do it. Because this Vikings defense looks legit, and why risk it in the first game back? Falcons, Saints, it's an important divisional game, so I could see that being a game where they really have to force the issue. Maybe a ton of pass attempts for Carr. I guess you said Olave is playing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it is a hamstring, so that makes me nervous. Plus, he's going against AJ Terrell. Those hamstrings, man, those are tricky.
They are. I'm almost shocked he's playing, to be honest. That to me, the fact that he's active is a good sign because he for all rights, he probably shouldn't be playing. So if they trust him enough to play him, I'm going to say it's maybe not a serious hamstring injury.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I mean, if you're comfortable with Derek Carr getting 200, 210 yards, maybe 1 touchdown, yeah, that's fine. But Jordan Love, man, I don't think they would play him this early if he wasn't ready to play.
Oh,
the Packers do tend to be staff that like they tend to be conservative with their players.
Yeah. So they're not going to risk putting him out there. So I would 100% play Jordan Love.
But the issue could be, okay, his knee is fine. They think like re-aggravating this injury just by playing isn't going to be an issue. But is his mobility limited at all in this game? And they feel, okay, we're going to play him because we feel like the risk of re-injury is low. But how effective is he coming back? I guess that's my big concern. I really hope he's fine.
Yeah. Also, I would say that you don't want to play it safe with Carr. Jason Moore tweeted this week from the Fantasy Footballers. Patrick Mahomes is only a streaming QB, not a starter. He has hit 20 fantasy points in 4-point touchdown leagues in only 17.6% of his last 17 games. That's an F in their consistency metric. So he's not even posting over 20 points over 20% of the time. He is not the fantasy asset that he once was. And until he starts proving that again, I think you have to play Jordan Love for the higher upside because Mahomes is not a QB1 right now, unfortunately.
Oh, Mahomes is his QB1, right? Okay, I understand
Yes.
now. Sorry,
Yes.
I didn't know where we were going with that. I was like, okay, bring it back, Topher. But no, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's already going
because
Mahomes.
you had asked earlier about the
Yeah,
QB, and I saw it in the chat. Sorry for
which
that.
is a good point because saying like, okay, if Mahomes really isn't that locked in QB1, there's risk there. You don't really want to play it like, I don't know. I almost think it the opposite though. Like, well, I suppose is Derek Carr safe? I guess that is the question, right? Like Jeff's whole premise of Derek Carr being the safer one. Is that true? I mean, Jamie said 1 touchdown. He had 7 total touchdowns the first 2 weeks. So right now, the odds are he will produce more than 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
How many touchdowns did he get last week?
1.
I thought he got 0.
No, he scored. I thought I saw he had 1. Maybe I'm wrong. He finished super poor, so he may as well. Yeah, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Oh, okay.
But he only had 142 passing yards.
Yeah.
Only 25 pass attempts. And what a game! Like that was such a weird game. Like that was so low scoring. I almost view that as the outlier, but maybe that is the real Derek Carr, and the first 2 weeks were the outlier. But I guess so. The way I'm ranking it, and the way I'm playing it with putting Derek Carr in my lineups, I'm willing to kind of look at last week as the outlier and say what he's done the first 2 weeks under with this Kubiak offense. This might have unlocked the best version of Derek Carr we've ever seen. And so I'm willing to trust him 1 more week because we've seen him get that done. But I guess I'm playing the black sheep to the Jamie and Topher's answers here. So sorry to be the contrarian. We've got Michael with I guess it didn't say the format, but in the flex, do you go Zach Charbonnet, Tony Pollard, or George Pickens?
Well, I believe Walker is playing, right?
Yes,
Now,
he's playing.
Yes, they've taken him off the injury report entirely. So to me, Zach Charbonnet is unplayable.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think part of that is, so the big argument against Kenneth Walker is, too many negative plays. There's too many plays where he'll lose yards. Yes, the big explosive plays are great, but there's so much. He needs to just get his play-to-play consistency better. All I've seen from Zach Charbonnet watching Seahawks games this year is negative runs, super inefficient. All the bad parts of Kenneth Walker's game are also there with Charbonnet, but Charbonnet does not have the explosive speed to make these big long runs that Walker does. So he has all the downside of Walker, but none of the upside. And I feel like the Seahawks probably will see that too. I mean, look at the Denver game. Denver, historically one of the worst run defenses over the past 2 seasons. Walker torched them. A couple touchdowns, had over 100 yards. Every time Charbonnet touched the ball, it seemed like it was a negative play or just not a very big gain. Like he's been so effective this year. Like to me, like I've dropped him down to like RB, I don't even want to know, like RB 50, RB like again with Walker in, I think 41. I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought. But still, RB 41, you're definitely not playing, I don't think. So it comes down to Pollard Pickens to me. And then scoring formats will factor in. I don't know. I think Pollard gets enough work, though, that I'd probably just trust him even if it's full PPR.
I mean, it really, really depends because I'm looking at Pollard's attempts. He's gotten 14 targets so far this season. But his first 2 weeks, he had 16, 17 attempts. And then in week 3 against Green Bay, he only had 6. And the Titans ran a total of 11 times. And so depending on the game script, it could go very well. It's also against Miami with Snoop Huntley at the helm. So you never know what's going to happen with that game script. However, Indianapolis has allowed 219 passing yards per game. However, one of those 3 games was Malik Willis throwing for 122. And then the other weeks were CJ Stroud for 234. And then Caleb Williams for 363. So I think even with Justin Fields at the helm, and the Steelers being 3-0, you're going to get a little pass happy game, I think, with Pickens, because the Colts are very easy to pass on right now. So I'm leaning Pickens.
Yeah, I have a similar, very, very close. Like I'm looking at the receiving and rushing lines. Receptions is over 4.5 for 53.5 yards. So that's 10 fantasy points. Pollard 51.5 on 12.5 attempts, plus 2.5 catches, 13. So it really comes down to the touchdown. Who do you think is going to get the touchdown? Because very, very similar. I would bank on Pickens getting the touchdown over Pollard.
Yeah.
Part of it, the Colts, they've been so bad at stopping the run that the opponents are just dominating time of possession against them every game. And but with that extra time possession, that means more potential targets for Pickens. Which that was a huge problem for Tennessee last week, as you pointed out, how little they ran. Topher, we can brag about it. The Packers have just been owning teams in terms of time of possession these last couple of weeks.
They have, and I love it.
I don't know, as much as I think Tyler Huntley's significantly better than Skylar Thompson, I don't know that he's enough that the Titans are suddenly in the same type of game script or the same type of time of possession deficit that they were last week. So I do think Pollard will get more attempts in general, just because they won't only run the ball 11 times.
Yeah.
This actually seems like a winnable game for them, and I wonder if they want to minimize Will Levis. And it's a big game for Tony Pollard. So again, I think the one thing we can all agree on is you definitely leave Zach Charbonnet on the bench.
Yeah.
Speaking of Zach Carlson talking about just our earlier answer of Akers over Ramondre. They're concerned that Akers is inefficient. But again, we could also say, is Stevenson going to be efficient against the 49ers defense? That would be my one pushback of why I'm less concerned with the inefficiency of Akers in this regard, because I'm also kind of concerned with Ramondre, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm concerned about Ramondre too. And I think that Houston is going to lean on the run game, as they continually prove to. And they also they have such a strong passing attack that Akers will not be the main focus. So I get the Akers inefficiency, but you said you were going to trust me. So
well, I don't think he said. I think he said he does trust you, but it doesn't mean he's going to go with what you said.
Oh, that's fair.
He does trust your opinion. He wants to hear it. So the rest of us.
Yep. Okay. You know what? I'll give you that. Thank you.
So I'm just going to jump a little bit ahead, because Jeff is talking about this Pickens Pollard question. Pickens breakout week is what Big Boss is calling it. Advanced metric point to a breakout. Top 10 in terms of separation. Top 5 in air yards. 25% target share. Has had 2 TDs called back for penalties. Mm-hmm. So he could have, in theory, a better week, the better results than what he has so far. So that's what we look for in terms of breakouts. Is okay. The process is there. They just haven't put up the fantasy points, but all the ingredients are there for them to do it. So, that's definitely an interesting question. Again, and if you're still here, Michael, if you can chime in, let us know the scoring settings, because especially at half PPR, I think I definitely want to go Pollard. Full PPR, I think I still lean Pollard, but that is where it gets closer to maybe selecting Pickens. So that would also maybe point us in a direction or another. Okay, so Hunter Johnson. Just enough space that we can see Topher's face. That's good. 2 questions, so it's a big comment. Have 1 RB wide receiver spot left. Josh Jacobs, Chuba Hubbard, J.K. Dobbins, and Amari Cooper. Who fits in that spot? And the second one is Jordan Love or Andy Dalton. So Hunter, first off, thanks for joining us on the Going for Two Facebook page. If you could let us know the scoring settings. But again, even with full PPR, I feel like those are volume running backs.
Yep.
that I think I'm even in full PPR. I think I'm leaving Amari Cooper on the bench. That's my first quick takeaway of looking at that question. I don't know if you guys think that's fair.
Well, it says I have one spot left. Who are you starting?
Yeah, exactly. Between those four, I would definitely leave Amari on the bench, and then focus on.
Yeah.
To me, it's the discussions between the three running backs.
I really think it's down between Jacobs and Dobbins. I don't know. I don't trust Hubbard as much, especially primarily because of the offense that he's on. Yeah, last week we saw a resurgence of the Panthers, but that was also against, the Raiders. And Hubbard has 192 rushing yards on the season, and he got 114 of those versus the Raiders. And he only has 67 receiving yards and a touchdown, and he got 55 of that and a touchdown against the Raiders. I would not ride heavily on that 1 week if I have better.
It was a career game for Hubbard, right? And there's a reason. Like, we don't always expect players to just put back-to-back career weeks together.
Correct. Thank you for summarizing that.
Yeah, no problem. It's funny though. Actually, Jamie, before we get to there, you were talking about some things with Hubbard, concerns with the offense. I feel like I have those same exact concerns with the Chargers right now, with Herbert being questionable. I think he's expected to play. It's like Debo. We still don't know for sure because it's a later game. And this Chiefs defense has been pretty great. It's arguably been their best unit this year. The reason that they are 3-0 is their defense more than their offense. I just feel like they could really shut down this Chargers team, especially if Herbert's out. But if Herbert's limited in any way, like avoiding pressure on Chris Jones, it could just be a lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of drives aren't going the distance, and that means just so few rush attempts for Dobbins. So I would actually shift it to Jacobs versus Hubbard as opposed to Dobbins versus Jacobs. But I think maybe it's the Packers bias in his Topher, but we're both kind of leaning towards Jacobs, it seems.
I say that, and I'm looking at the 3 games that Minnesota has played so far. In week 2, they allowed Jordan Mason to do 20 carries for 100 yards and a tutty. However, against the Texans last week, they allowed Cam Akers 9 carries for 21 yards. And then the Giants, against the Giants week 1, Singletary 10 carries for 37 yards. They're holding teams to an average of 71.3 yards rushing per game, which is the second lowest in the league. Only behind the Baltimore Ravens, who are only allowing 50 rushing yards per game. Sweet baby Jesus. So
it's funny. I heard this stat that like the Ravens, they're allowing like 150 more passing yards per game than any other team. But then I'm thinking it's because their run defense is so good that teams have to just throw it every single time. So by sheer volume, teams get there against the passing game.
Yes. And then the Chiefs are right in the middle. They're allowing 113.7 yards per game on the ground. But they're also top 5 in allowing passing yards per game. And Minnesota is top 7. So I think I almost lean Dobbins here. I think I lean Dobbins, but Dobbins or Jacobs, but I'm sort of leaning Dobbins.
I think I'm going with the homer pick in Jacobs in that I would argue the Packers' run attack is better than all those teams the Vikings have faced. Like they've been able to shut down these rushing teams because it hasn't been overly efficient. We saw like you get the 49ers that have a really great offensive line and a coach that really commits to the run. They can get there. Giants offense so bad that like Singletary couldn't get there. Yeah. And then with the Texans, as Zach pointed out, Akers inefficiency. So I guess I'm less concerned with the Vikings defense than I am the Chiefs defense, to be honest.
Okay.
And I guess the interesting thing is both quarterbacks are technically questionable. So is there a certain emphasis on the run game anyway, just to protect the quarterbacks?
Ooh, that's a good call. And I think that we've seen how the Packers are modifying their scheme based off of player health this season very well. And I don't think the Chargers do that nearly as well. I'd go Jacobs or Dobbins. I don't know if if I had to do it, I might lean Jacobs just because I'm a homer. But if I'm not a Packers fan, I'm very up in the air about it.
Well, maybe we should ask a non-Packers fan. So, Jamie, what do you think? Because I think Topher and I are both kind of leaning towards Jacobs, although he's I guess it's funny because I'm thinking Jacobs versus Hubbard. He's thinking Jacobs versus Dobbins, but we're both like strongly considering Jacobs. How do you view this question? Is it totally different? Are you taking Amari Cooper into account because you're Browns fan?
No, for me, it's between Jacobs and Cooper. Hubbard, last week I put him on the trading block. I got great offers for him. Smash accept. The week before, Dobbins, I did the same thing, and then he goes up and puts like 5 points up. You got Edwards that can take away from Dobbins. Jacobs, you got Love coming off of that injury, right? So maybe they do rely a little bit more on the running game. So, yeah, I'm going to go Jacobs over Cooper.
I think our answer for you, Hunter, is Jacobs because we're all considering Jacobs versus someone else different. But that's the common theme is that like we all have either Jacobs 1 or 2. So that probably is the best answer to go with.
I'm with you.
Now, because he's playing Josh Jacobs, do we not want to stack Jordan Love? Because the other question is Love or Andy Dalton. And my first thought, again, back to I'm choosing between Jacobs and Hubbard. I want to correlate that and pick the opposite quarterback. So I think the way my rankings are, Jacobs is the highest ranked of these players, and Dalton's actually ranked higher than Jordan Love. So I would go, if you're going to play Josh Jacobs, play Andy Dalton. But if you don't play Jacobs and go with someone else, I think that's the scenario where you go for Love, because if you're not playing Jacobs, you're betting on they can't run the ball. It'll have to all be through the air, which means a high volume game for Jordan Love. So I think, Hunter, this is pretty difficult and delicate, but I think you almost – unless I'm crazy, like I really don't want to stack Jacobs with Jordan Love.
Jacobs,
I think it's going to be one scenario or the other.
Jacobs never had a receiving touchdown yet in his career, right?
Yeah. Emmanuel Wilson got one before him. Emmanuel Wilson had never had a touchdown in his regular season career because he's done well in the preseason every year. But he even got the end zone first. So the idea of stacking Love with Jacobs, I think I don't love it. So I think if you're going to go with Jacobs, I say go with Andy Dalton.
I don't like that. I don't like that just because of how the Bengals have played against the pass. Week 1, obviously, against Jacoby Brissett, 121 yards. But the following week, they picked off Patrick Mahomes twice and forced him to only have 151 yards. And then Jaden Daniels, he kind of walked all over him.
He lit them up. That was fun to watch.
21 out of 23 for 254 and 2 touchdowns. And they're running
wild really opposite end of the spectrum, though, in terms of quarterback archetype of Jaden Daniels to Andy Dalton. Like,
yes,
play style, just it's so wildly different.
Yeah, so I don't love that for Andy Dalton. So that's my thought.
So and to be fair, you were saying you're thinking leaning Dobbins anyway, which I think encourages the play of Jordan Love.
Yeah, I like the idea of not playing both of them if you don't have to, just because we don't know where Love is. But I like Love better than Dalton, especially against this Cincinnati defense that kind of has made Madden quarterbacks look pretty bad.
Well, apparently Jordan Love pulled up in Brett Favre's jersey.
Yep.
Legacy game incoming. I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I'm questioning my franchise quarterback if he's going in Love's in Favre's jersey and not fucking Bart Starr's jersey or Aaron Rodgers. Let me take the fourth best quarterback in this franchise history as opposed to the best or second best.
Well, also
Arnie Harbor's jersey, for God's sake.
Now hold on. You do have to remember that
Brett diagnosis.
Yeah, he got a cancer diagnosis. So I think Jordan Love is
why he's doing it.
And he's also got some baggier jeans on, thrown back to some late 90s.
Go back to the 90s when Favre was playing, right?
Exactly. Like it is a full-on Favre tribute attire. So I think Zach's on something right there. I like it.
Okay, fair enough. Just to go back to this, Michael was talking about it being full PPR. So again, I know this question of Charbonnet versus Pollard versus Pickens. And again, I was saying, okay, if it's half versus full, like in theory, full, you lean to the receivers, half you lean to the running backs. I don't know. I still think Pollard, but it makes sense why my two co-hosts. I believe you went Pickens, right, Topher? I know Jamie did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does Pickens.
I chose Pickens
with him,
Yeah.
but
definitely credit to you guys for that.
Is Pickens really even a PPR guy? Because
that's true. It is big play yards. Yeah, fair enough. That's a good point, Jamie. It's not. I guess receivers all do win in different ways sometimes. Yeah. So sorry, Hunter, that we didn't. Where is that question? Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, we didn't. I mean, I guess we provided clarity, but if I guess for the sake of not hiding Topher, we'll move on. But yeah, again, I think the last thing is because you're considering two quarterbacks and also potentially two running backs from those same teams. It just don't play Hubbard and Dalton. Don't play Jacobs and Love. At least go different. And again, if you're just going to play Dobbins anyway, then it doesn't really matter what quarterback you play. So sorry.
Yes.
I don't know if that helps or not. If you're leaning Dobbins, and I don't know if we gave you clarity, but if you are leaning Jacobs, I do think Jacobs Dalton would be the combo I would want. I know Topher's a little hesitant there, but maybe I'm just the crazy Packers fan. He's the normal Packers fan because cheeseheads are all saying it normal. All right, so Les I would almost say Liz Claypool, just because I love Primus so much, but asking about two questions, it seems. So T. Higgins versus Roma Dunze, unless it's Elijah Higgins, and then Jalen Hurts versus Sam Darnold. So anyone have a quick, easy take on either of these to start with, so we can start eliminating? Is that bad, eh?
I'm gonna go off what you said last week about Higgins. Until Higgins proves to me that he is back to form, I'm not trusting them. He had a 90% snap share last week, and he only had 6 targets, but only 3 receptions for 39 yards in a absolute monster of a game where Joe Burrow threw for 324 touchdowns and 3 tutties.
Punted, no turnovers. It was as dominant of an offensive performance as could be. And I think Higgins finished wide receiver 60.
Yeah, it was bad. It was very bad. And Adunze, as Zach notes, because he listened to me, Adunze broke out with 6 receptions, 11 targets for 112 yards and 1 tutty. I don't think he does that same thing again, but I think that Caleb Williams and Adunze finally clicked, and I think that Adunze is a far better play.
Does Keenan Allen coming back scare you at all? Because that was honestly almost everything you said was the reason I was going to go Adunze initially. Allen coming in and taking away targets, is that enough to get you on?
I don't think Adunze gets double-digit targets, but I think that if he comes away with 7 or 8 targets, that's still really viable. And I don't think Allen is going to come onto the field after being hurt for so long and just steal the young rookie connection that we saw happen. I don't think
he gets 11 targets like in week 1.
Yeah, you know what? But also, we're also seeing kind of that same thing in Houston right now when Stephon Diggs has taken the field and Tank Dell is being left out of the picture. Adunze is a better wide receiver than Tank Dell, but you've got a viable real point there. But Adunze's shown more this year.
To be fair, CJ Stroud's at this point a significantly better quarterback than Caleb Williams, though, so that makes up for it. But yeah, I think I'm with you that Allen returning isn't enough to scare me off this. I'm mostly just scared of Higgins.
Yes.
Jimmy, do you have anything different to say on this?
Yeah, Hurts is definitely the play. I got him in my top 5. You can't go wrong with that rushing. Darnold doesn't rush. He's 80 years old.
Higgins. I'm actually pretty sure Hurts is older than Darnold.
Oh, Higgins and Adunze, that is tough, man. I trust Vegas more than my own mind. I would probably go Adunze, but if you look at the Vegas lines, you got 4.5 receptions for 53.5 yards for Higgins, with only 2.5 receptions, 36.5 for Adunze.
Darnold is 27, Hurts is 26.
Okay.
But Darnold's been in the league for 37 years now.
Well, I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow is older than Darnold, even though Darnold got in the league I think 2 years or 3 years before Burrow.
Man, it seems like Darnold's over 30. He's not over 30 yet?
No. I mean, he was drafted the same year as Josh Allen and Lamar.
Yeah, he was drafted when he was 20 years old. I remember just being like, what was I doing when I was 20? I just had one of those like Disney Channel flashbacks of crying over music history textbooks, and I was like, yep, that's what I was doing.
Maybe you guys like 15. That's
Music
why I'm
history.
thinking like.
Okay, actually, Jeff, Big Boss Man Jeff, thanks for this platform, giving us this whole network to
Yes.
work on. Also giving us this great stat on Ayuk, that Ayuk is better man-to-man. Debo is better versus zone. And because the Pats, so far this year, it seems like they've been playing more man.
Yeah.
It makes Ayuk the better play than Debo. So to the whole, I think this is like reference to what we were talking about. We were asking about Ayuk versus DJ Moore, right? That was Albert's question.
Yeah.
I guess in theory, Jeff's saying that like this is the type of matchup where Ayuk would thrive.
That is true.
And I guess again with Keenan Allen coming back, I mean, full circle back to the Bears. Man, we've talked so much about the Bears.
Yeah, it's giving me a stomach ache, to be honest with you.
Jeff is providing us a question from the Discord. So actually, if you want to join the Going for Two Discord, I mean, you can have stuff like this where your questions get asked for you on a stream, because that's how dedicated Jeff is to his Discord members. But it's also
absolutely,
and Jeff's doing
VIP treatment.
Yes, and it's not like you have to pay for this. The Going for Two Discord is entirely free. So this is the dedication Jeff gives to anyone who joins the Going for Two Discord. There's an easy link to get to it through the goingfor2.com website. The Discord icon, you'll be able to click on that and immediately join and get to access to all the great channels. Reese from 910 wants to know Olave versus the Falcons secondary or Ramondre Stevenson versus the 49ers. In what I imagine, it says horrible offense, and I imagine Jeff wants to paraphrase against this elite, incredible defense, the greatest team of all time. But yeah, Chris Olave versus Ramondre Stevenson.
I'm going Ramondre. I traded away Olave last year after a big game because he is such a pain to play. He's reminding me of Will Fuller, a better version of Will Fuller, but just that boomer bust. He's going to sometimes win you the week and give you the highest point total of the season, and then 5 other games of the week, 5 other games after that, he's not even going to break 50 yards. And I kind of am. I love the talent of Olave. I don't love the system that he's in. I'm going with Ramondre, which says a lot against the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, full PPR. Jamie, do you have
Yeah, no, I agree. It's with Olave's injury, it's a hamstring. So I'm going through my teams now, and I'm sitting him everywhere I can. Like I would start like Darnell Mooney over him. I think a league, I'm even starting Jerry Jeudy over him.
And here I am ranking Chris Olave at wide receiver 12 this week.
Man. AJ Terrell, he's a dog.
Yeah, you mentioned both the injury and the corner.
Pair that with the injury, I'm staying away.
Yep.
And if you're trusting my rankings, you're going with Olave because I still am a little concerned with Ramondre. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just stubborn on Olave, but maybe I'm the one that's deviating from these two. So maybe no one should ever listen to me. All right. So what do we have next for a question? Okay, Roger joining us. Roger Abelos. Thank you, Roger. Saying good morning, fellas. Appreciate that.
Good morning.
Well. My team has been decimated by injuries. It's fantasy football. Of course it has.
Yep.
Need one flex in a full PPR league. Ken Walker, the third, coming off the injury. J.K. Dobbins, Christian Kirk. Sorry. J.K. Dobbins versus KC, Christian Kirk. I had to just put all the Ks. Okay. Kyle has to start doing it. Ken Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Christian Kirk, or Christian Watson. Full PPR.
Last week I disparaged Christian Kirk a lot in my article and on the air, and then he went for 8 receptions for 79 yards. But I don't know.
Jamie, was it you that was mentioning last week with regards to Kirk that the Bills had one of the highest percentage of points allowed to slot receivers?
Yeah.
I think you were talking about this on the Monday night stream. So you kind of predicted Christian Kirk's big game incoming because of the matchup. Do you see that defense of the Texans being that similar, like they're going to allow a lot of production to slot receivers, or is this something where maybe that was a 1 week aberration for Kirk?
Shoot, what is it? Stingley? I think Stingley's the outside guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would play Kirk this week.
I think the tough matchup is against Thomas on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kenneth Walker coming back from the injury. Like, who knows what the split's going to be?
Yeah, I think we know what the split's going to be.
Christian Watson.
It might be.
I was going to say Christian Watson is definitely not a play for me over Kirk. I would definitely play Kirk over Watson. So for me, it's between Dobbins and Kirk, and I would lean Christian Kirk just for the volume I think he's going to get.
See, I've got Kirk at like wide receiver 45. It's tough for me to just say that 1 week he did it last week and it's suddenly back to normal. I don't know. I'm a little concerned with this Texas defense, to be honest. Just the amount of pressure they can put, like pass rush wise, against the Jags. Like I don't know. I'm having a hard time throwing Christian Kirk into any lineup.
Well,
I actually have.
You would think that would help Kirk because they'll just dump it off to him.
Sure, but if Lawrence just takes a sack every time, then it doesn't. But yeah, in theory, the slot receiver would be like where you go for the quick dump offs. I have Christian Watson ranked ahead of Christian Kirk this week, so I think if you're going to go receiver with Jordan Love being back, I think I would trust Christian Watson with the ability to just make a big play. Like 1 or 2 catches could outproduce Christian Kirk's whole game. But I don't know. Maybe I'm stubborn because I love Ken Walker so much. I don't think it's going to be a split. I think Charbonnet's been getting touchdowns for us, but that's all he's done. Like he's been so inefficient with yards, not really used as a pass catcher either. Not that Walker will. Even it's a tough Lions matchup, I get the sense that they're just going to give Ken Walker every opportunity he can handle, and that Charbonnet is just a clear handcuff backup now, and that it's not going to be split. So I would actually lean playing Ken Walker. I think every league where I had Walker, I've thrown him in the lineup. I know it's the Lions matchup, but I guess I just believe in his talent so much, and so much more relative to Charbonnet that I think he's going to get the volume. I'm concerned with the Lions defense, but as I've already alluded to, I'm pretty concerned with the Chiefs defense too. So I definitely don't like playing Dobbins in this situation. I would go between either Walker or Christian Watson. It seems like you guys are leaning Christian Kirk.
No, I'm going Walker.
Okay.
I don't love Christian Kirk. I never have. I never will. I think he gives you a few big games a year. I think last year was an anomaly, and I'm gonna go with Walker. I'm going to go with Walker here. I don't think that there's much of a split.
Yeah, that's tough, man, because I don't think Walker has a over-under on receptions. So
all right. To be fair, like I don't think we're drafting him and playing him for the receiving work, though. Is that he's just going to get like almost every carry, and even against a tough defense, he can still break off big runs. That's kind of my argument standpoint for Walker. Like I've got him ranked as a top 20 running back this week.
Yeah,
so
exactly. I think 60 or 70
on his rushing yards, right? Let's say he does break off for a couple. He gets 65, 70 yards, right? That's 7 points. Christian Kirk, he gets 5 catches. I mean, that's 5 points right there. Plus the yards on top of that. You'd think it's going to be more than 20. I don't know. I just see Walker not getting as many receptions, and Kirk's going in full PPR. I think
you talk about that favoring the receiver over the running back in the format.
Yeah,
I guess is Christian Kirk going to catch 5 passes though? Because he had 2 receptions through the first 2 weeks of the season combined.
I mean, the over/under is 4.5. I think he's going to go over.
Yeah, but he could go under though.
He could, but he usually does. It says 4 for. What is his line? 4 for 49.5. So that's almost 9 points right there, as opposed to Walker getting 70 yards. You're still getting an extra 2 points.
Could Walker score a touchdown though? Like, and I think that'll be key to how do you project it going forward, right? Like, what are you projecting workload for these guys? And Jamie, you kind of do your own projections, so like you've got maybe a better grasp on that. So Roger, if you do your own projections, like trust what your projections are saying. If there's someone else out there, whether it's Jamie or someone else who does projections, and you trust them, and they've got Kirk with that higher projected workload, then yeah, I suppose that makes sense. I'm just, I don't know. I'm a little. I mean, I love Christian. Like I'm the opposite of Topher. I love Christian Kirk. I've loved Christian Kirk forever. But man, just seeing those first 2 weeks, how bad it was, and how bad this Jags offense has been. Like Lawrence really has not got it together. It seems like he's worse than this 2 years ago. So that's where my hesitancy comes from. Whereas this Seahawks offense, I mean, they're 3-0. They're rolling. this like, I mean, I know Topher and I are hoping that the Lions go 2-2 and that the Seahawks are 4-0 at the end of the week. So maybe that's the hopeful banking on that. But
Yeah,
that's the offense I'd rather invest in right now.
Okay, so we still have a few questions, but
Yeah.
we're getting low on time.
shoot.
So let's do some rapid round. Let's do some rapid round.
Yeah, I mean, Jared's saying sorry to both. This also include you, Topher, because he is a Vikings fan. So that's all about.
Well, hey, Jared,
Speaking of Packers.
I will tell you, Jared, that I know some really good mental health counseling for anyone, but being a Vikings and a Bears fan requires a lot of heartbreak and loss. So if you need any therapy for that, here for you.
do they cover Yetis as well? Though? That's, I guess, the one question.
Ooh, that's a good question. Good question.
So Zach thinks Emmanuel Wilson's going to start stealing real work from Jacobs. I'm gonna lie, I feel like he already has. Like, again, he got the receiving touchdown last week. So
and then you have Marshawn Lloyd when he comes back, and they've really liked him as well. You know what? I think you're right, but I don't think that. I think that they're going to use Jacobs. And Jacobs is their one. Jacob is definitely their one.
Undrafted second-year running back is going to take away from Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Go buy him in all your
running back. He's already had 2 seasons before this where he's gone in preseason and not gotten the job. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only a second year, but it feels like this has been a thing every year.
Yeah, no, he was undrafted last year.
Last year, okay. So because it just feels like every preseason he dominates and then doesn't make the team, and he finally made the team this year. I guess it's just a 1 year, 2 year sample size now. So Jared is asking, really wants to bench James Cook for Najee Harris. Tell me to stop overthinking it.
Dude, I love Najee this week. I have trouble putting him in my lineups because I got such awesome teams. I would actually play Najee over James Cook, I think.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I've got James Cook ranked as RB5 this week because, yes, the Ravens are tough against running backs, but James Cook very rarely wins on the ground. It's how much he's involved as a pass catcher, and it seems like that's how you help beat the Ravens. So I've got absolutely no hesitation on James Cook. To me, again, RB5 this week in my rankings. Najee was seen in practice with a sling this week. So even though it looks like Jaylen Warren might be out, he's not necessarily 100% healthy either. So I've actually ranked Cordarrelle Patterson way too high this week. He's like a top 30 back this week because I think Patterson's going to steal enough touches. So stop overthinking it, Jared. James Cook has been like borderline. I think he's like RB2 or 3 on the season this year. Like, you don't ever bench those guys.
Well, depending on the league you're in my main dynasty league, just depending on what your scoring is, he's number 5. But he's a top 5.
I don't ever bench a top 5 running back.
No.
Well, I have James Cook at 17.
Oof.
Against Baltimore's defense, I have Najee at 15.
Yeah, I'm pretty like I don't know, just that Najee being in a sling this week and like not being 100%, it prevented me from really raising him high. I think I've got him at RB24. In theory, against the Colts, it should be, but the thing is against the Colts, though, their run defense has gotten better since halfway through the Packers game. Like, I don't know if you remember that, Topher, but they adjusted in the second half. The Packers could not run as well, and since then, the Colts haven't been this disaster against the run. So that was really just a first 2 week thing. We have to stop thinking them as they're going to allow 30 carries every game.
Yeah.
I also think like the Packers had much more success running outside zone runs. That's not really Najee's strength. He's an up the middle kind of guy. No. I think it's a great game for Justin Fields to run against the Colts, but I actually don't love this Najee matchup against the Colts just because the way the Colts have been allowing rushing production.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going because we still got a couple more and we're at the end of our time. So we want to make sure we get to everybody's questions.
I almost thought this said Carl Carlson. Carl Castle. The Simpsons joke. I need one spot. Olave banged up. Debo off injury. Walker off injury. Hubbard.
I'm going Walker.
I was thinking that too.
I'm going Walker on that. You heard about Olave. Like, we've talked about all these players. I'm going Walker.
Debo, I think, is the biggest question mark because we still don't know for sure he's playing. Whereas everyone else, we know they're going to play. Like they're off the injury report. They've announced. I mean, Walker still have to wait 2 days for the game to start. Where we know that he's for sure starting, but like he's off the injury report entirely. So to me, it's definitely not Debo because we have no idea what type of health he's going to be in. And I suppose if you play Debo and he's out, you just throw Walker in. That's fine. But like as Jeff mentioned earlier too, like the Patriots running man is probably not great for Debo.
No, not at all.
Yeti's excited by Najee touching it 25 times because I wonder if that's because Najee is as big as a Yeti. So, yeah, got a lot of discussion between Jeff and Yeti talking about Najee Harris. Roger, appreciate
I'm looking at the team now. I have Najee. I'm sitting Olave. I'm sitting. Who else? Amari Cooper, and I'm sitting Debo or Najee.
Sorry, say it again.
So I'm starting Najee over Debo. I'm starting Najee over Olave, and I'm starting Olave or Najee over Amari Cooper.
Okay. Oh, just in your leagues. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just I don't love doing it over James Cook though. I think that's a bit of a switch, to be honest. I guess Jair. Yeah, we know that Jair Alexander's not playing, so yes, Jefferson's going to go off against Stokes. That's I am a little concerned. the more time goes on, I'm a little concerned about this game, Topher. Zach with another question. So pick 2, Geno, Baker, T-Law. Wondering if T-Law is cooked. I've had some Baker, Geno decisions. I've actually ranked both of them ahead of Anthony Richardson this week. So that's to kind of say how much I like both Mayfield and Geno Smith. Lawrence is, I'm pretty sure, outside my top 20. It's been a disaster. I've got him at QB 24. I'm not playing Lawrence under any circumstance. I actually have a league with Baker starting over Lawrence. I'm definitely doing this. But I would also do the same for Geno. So no, I think it's definitely go Baker and Geno here.
Yeah, I have Geno, Baker back to back. Lawrence is way down there at like QB 25. But I have Geno and Baker 12 and 13 back to back.
I mean,
Baker's a top 12.
Baker's a top 6 quarterback right now.
Yeah, Baker's my top 12. Geno at 13.
Yeah, I've also got Baker heads, but he gets to play both. So I think definitely play both of those guys over.
Yeah.
All right, and I guess Aaron, right? I almost thought I said burn right, as Jamie's burning things right now. In a good way. In a good way. Let's be happy. Aaron asking Jordan Addison, Allen, or Lockett? Eric? Can we get precision on which Allen? Although I have a feeling
Keenan.
Well, I mean,
Keenan.
Maybe Braylon.
No, it's Keenan.
Well, it's all wide receivers, but that could be
flex spot though.
Yeah, but I will. Yeah, I'm gonna go Addison. I'm gonna go Addison on that. He's got talent up the wazoo. Packers got their top 2 cornerbacks out.
Top 2? Oh yeah, Valentine's out too, right?
Yeah, Valentine's out too. So I'm
sorry, Eric Stokes, that you're already behind Carrington Valentine.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, week 1, Valentine was starting to play more snaps than Stokes, so the Packers may not be that far from actually seeing that too. I'm trying to think. I've got Lockett ranked higher than Addison. Matchup against the Lions. I mean, I've been talking about how much I want to play Ken Walker, but if it is really tough to run, then it's just super good pass volume for Lockett. Of course, Yeti says Addison, the Vikings fan in the cold North Yeti territory of Minnesota.
Well, he is a smart guy, so yeah, I'm gonna agree with him.
Again, everyone else has said it, so it's probably the right call. I guess I'm just a little hesitant. Addison's first pick back, like what type of shape he's in. We've seen it with Lockett. It's a good game script against the Lions, so that's why again I have Lockett ranked higher than Addison this week.
I just think
a little hesitant to just throw Addison up too high in my rankings.
Yeah, I get that. I just think Addison is too talented, and it's going to be too big of a game for Addison to not be an important part of it.
They've held him out the last couple games just so that he's ready for this one.
Correct. Yeah, I definitely think that they've held back a little bit because they've also seen that Jalen Naylor has been doing a wonderful job. So
they've been blowing out every game, so they haven't needed to even if he was active, they might just say, okay, just stay on the bench. So
exactly.
We're hoping that's not the case tonight, that they actually it's a close game.
Yes, I agree.
But I think between Keenan Allen and Addison, both are coming off injuries. We have much more faith in Sam Darnold currently than Caleb Williams. What a statement.
Yeah.
Imagine saying that just like around draft time. Eric Yuli. Eric. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Eric. Ulri? Yeah, Ulri. I suppose it may be like Danish, like Ulri. All right. I'm going to just stop banging on the name and go with the question. Ken Walker, Cam Akers, Jordan Addison. Top 2 CBs for Packers. That's Eric's paying attention. Full PPR.
I think PPR has me lean Addison. But I also think that if you are you said it right. Good job. Good job, Kyle. But if it's half PPR, I think I might even lean Walker, but full PPR Addison. I'm going him.
I mean, I've been picking Ken Walker in the lineup every matchup. I'm not stopping here. I think it should. But again, like I'm ranking him as a top 20 running back, and to be like those guys ranked that high, I'm not benching. So, yeah, I guess both are injured. Both are coming off injuries. So I don't know for sure how healthy either is. So I suppose you can use that argument either way.
I'm going Addison. I think Walker would be a great play as well. I don't think Akers. So
I'm ending with this, Yeti. You're saying Debo long shot to play, and then later Debo plans to play. To me, we still don't know. Like I don't have him ranked this week. If I had him in any leagues, I wouldn't be playing him because I just don't like. If they're this wishy-washy, if he's going to play or not, he's clearly not 100%. Because if he was 100%, they go out of the way to tell us that he's 100% and he's good to go. So
yeah, they could be using him as a decoy.
Exactly. He's going to like not get any production.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, I'm with you. Juwan Jennings is still my highest ranked 49ers wide receiver this week. Because after what he did last week, if Debo's not 100%, I don't see how they don't go back to him. He's the guy producing it. Ayuk's been the one struggling. Kittle's been coming off an injury. Jennings is the healthy guy who's been in the system all training camp. Like he's got everything to go. So I'm stubbornly sticking to Juwan Jennings as a top 16 wide receiver this week.
There you go.
My takeaway. I pinned 2 questions. Awesome. Jeff is asking if Jamie is watching Roschon Johnson highlights. B, I wanted to end with this one. DeAndre Swift or Roschon Johnson?
I mean, this one's so freaking easy to me. You have to go with the guy that has been putting up more points. He's going to get receptions. He's a better pass blocker.
Yeah.
He breaks more tackles. He's a better receiver. And that's in Roschon Johnson right here.
I don't know that he's a better receiver, but I think I agree with every other statement.
I'm not saying he catches
that's
like
all Swift does good. That's like all Swift does good though is receiving and like
but Roschon's better. So that's just saying something. Like Swift is a good receiver, yes. Roschon's better.
That's fair, yeah. Just because he's good doesn't mean he's better. But I don't know. Has Roschon really done anything from a receiving standpoint in the NFL at all yet?
Yeah, if you look at last year, he got like 30-some% of the snaps. In week 1, he ended up RB8, right behind Bijan at RB7. He had like 6 or 7.
38 catches in his career. Like it's not like it's super outstanding. But either way, I mean, whatever we think is irrelevant. Do the Bears think that, right? Like that's the real question. But I agree with you. Like the pass protection right now, I mean. He seems like he's their best interior runner. Like he should have all the touchdown upside because I remember it was my goal line guide inside the 5 stuff. Roschon got a carry last week. It was 4th and 1 from the 5-yard line. Got the first down. And what do they do from inside the 5-yard line? Okay, Roschon, get off the field, even though you just succeeded in short yardage. Let's bring in Khalil Herbert and DeAndre Swift to combine for, I think it was like negative 8 yards on the 4 carries they got from inside the 5 after Roschon got the first down at the 5-yard line. So it made no sense. But that's also my problem is, man, this team doesn't know what the frig they're doing because it's the Bears and they're run by complete incompetent morons. Are they going to give Roschon the ball even though he should get it? That's to me the real question. Are these Bears just so stupid that they won't do it?
Yeah, they are stupid because Eberflus should have been fired last year.
Yeah.
He probably will be the first coach fired this year. So
he should have been fired last week after punting with under 2 minutes with 1 timeout left.
Yeah. That's pretty embarrassing.
Or kicking, it was they scored the touchdown instead of the onside kick he kicked off.
Yeah, if Eberflus wants to save his job.
You only have 1 timeout, dude. You can't possibly and easily easy throw for first down, and game over. It was okay. Wow, that seemed really stupid, Eberflus.
Yeah.
The thing is, the Bears never fire a coach mid-season. So he's probably not going to, even though he deserves to be the first head coach fired, he's probably going to go through the whole season and they'll fire him after the year because the Bears just still refuse to do anything smart.
No. Why would they?
I mean, they should trade Caleb Williams for Justin Fields, but they won't. They'd never admit that they made a mistake there. What they should have done was trade back 2 spots and drafted Marvin Harrison to go along with your already established franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. Ask DJ Moore how it is going from transitioning from Fields to Williams. I'm sure if you got him to honestly say he'd probably say he wished they wouldn't have made that choice, that they'd still have Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So so it's funny, Jamie, because I still stubbornly have Swift ranked 2 spots ahead of Roschon. But I will say my co-host Brad on the Full Press Fantasy Pod, he had Roschon at like RB30 this week. Now, if it makes it any better,
RB1.
I am starting Roschon in a league this week, and I don't think I'm starting Swift anywhere. So in terms of that, I've invested. I've made my bet, but man, 49ers 4th in the West right now. That's hilarious.
That's bonkers. That's crazy.
Especially since the Rams have no Puka, no Cooper Kupp, no Aaron Donald.
Yep.
Huh. Anyway, it's we got about 20 minutes till kickoff. So I want to thank everyone who's joined us in the live chat. I mean, honestly, it's weird that we've already been on for like an hour and 15 minutes. Because it just flies by. It's like, when Topher earlier, like, we kind of have to get going. Like, oh, we don't give time left. It's like, oh, it's already past 12:20. No, never mind. We love to talk. I do love talking with both of you. So
absolutely, I enjoy this a lot as well.
Glad we can make it work. Glad everyone is enjoying it. Hope we've given everyone the right answers to the test,
especially Zach.
Yeah. Hey, you did last week, so
yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it continues.
Cam Akers versus Ramondre. All right.
Yes.
But yes, thank you, Topher. Thank you, Jamie. Thanks everyone in the chat. Zach, Jeff, Albert, Hunter, some guy named Jamie Perog in the chat. That's weird.
That one guy, yeah.
Michael, Zach again. Man, love having Zach. The Yeti, Carl, random name, Aaron, Eric, Aaron and Eric. Wow. Interesting. Back to back too. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. Going for 2 live on YouTube. We're on Twitch as well. Be sure to subscribe. There's tons of great shows all throughout the week. I guess the next show will be oh, look at that. You got to listen to me ramble on more tomorrow night. Monday night pregame show. You get to listen to Jamie ramble on, probably about Roschon Johnson a ton on Tuesday night. The Fantasy Cheat Sheet. Got a ton of great shows every night of the week here on Going for 2 Live. Any final thoughts, guys?
I don't think so. Just enjoy the week. Have fun watching football.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And just remember,
that's it.
It's a game. It's a pretend game. So don't get mad if you lose. It's not.
Oh, I will get mad if I lose, but yeah,
I'll always get mad.
I'm also way too competitive.
Yes, always get mad. Absolutely. Let it ruin your week.
On behalf of Topher and Jamie, I'm Kyle Senra, and this was the Going for 2 Sunday morning.